I didn't know she was fluent in Spanish. And in Guatemala, that's kind of important. I'm not fluent in Spanish, so I like stuck to her side like glue to make sure I knew what was going on. I didn't know that she was a reporter for a while in Guatemala. So very familiar with the culture, very familiar with the cities. She worked all week so that I could pronounce Chicamalia, because I couldn't see it in my mind and I had no idea how to, I slaughtered it the first 4 days. Every time I'd say, let's go to the city. She'd go, which one? I'm like, Chiqui. That's where we want to go. So I'm going to let her do the presentation. It was an amazing project, and as she ends it, I think she's going to tell you what the plans are for the next 5 years and how we can get involved. There are things like global grants where we can get more money from international, but this is a way for us just to partner with her church, with other people. There's a group in Lubbock and this group, and there's just a lot of stuff that we can do for people who certainly don't have even a percentage of what we have. So here's Jane Ragsdale.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Hi, y'all. Oh, Kristy, I don't know how much time I have. This might be important.
You have at least 25 minutes.
Woohoo. Get ready. Okay. Okay, so next slide, please. Oh, good. It's not going to work. Here we are. Now? Where's Oscar when you need him? Oscar, mi amigo. Thank you. So when I worked in Guatemala, I was fresh out of college, and one of my goals in life was, since they weren't allowing me to run a camp yet, meaning my family that owned Camp Stewart. And we had just recently bought Heart of the Hills while I was, oh, more loud. Is this better? Thank you for that, because I know I have a soft voice, but it sounded loud to me. So fresh out of college, I wanted to be a camp director, but they said that the camp could not afford to hire an extra employee yet, that I should find my way doing something else. And I became a reporter, but because I spoke Spanish and I love the Latin culture, I wanted to be a foreign correspondent. And I got hired on in Guatemala City for a small weekly newspaper, loved it, and fell in love with the place and the people there. And realized as I spent more time that, well, like from my little, from the little room I was renting in a house, look out the window onto what looked like, you know, a pile of cardboard boxes. And I realized after a while, this is where some people lived. And there's a lot of that sort of thing in Guatemala. That's okay, carry on. And then I realized that I had two local co-workers who wore the exact same outfit to work every single day. And these weren't people that didn't take pride in their appearance. That was just their work outfit. And you know, it wasn't because they didn't care, it's because that's what they had. And etc. You know, you travel around, you see extreme poverty. Many years later, my pseudo cousin, who's his dad and my dad were fraternity brothers at UT. And so I had known Scott since my childhood. And I found out that Scott was doing mission work in Guatemala. So of course was fascinated and got in touch with Scott and got in his email loop. And if you're ever in Scott's email loop, get ready, because it will fill up your inbox. He throws a wide net. He just communicates with everybody and copies everybody on every little thing. And he's taking anybody that raises an eyebrow, he thinks he's got you hooked. And so I tried to line up my son, who's also bilingual, and he was in college at the time. Why don't you go with Scott to Guatemala? He said, I love that. He said, I have some friends that want to go too. Great. Pardon me. And so Scott and anyway, my son and I end up going together because none of the friends were going to go. And as it turned out, we were the only people that went with Scott that year on the mission trip. And long story short, I saw stuff that I'd never seen. This is not the part of Guatemala that you envision if you've ever traveled there. They take you to the highlands where the Mayan descendants live, and everyone's dressed in these gorgeous hand-woven, colorful outfits, and and they're about this tall, like little tiny, like literally very small people. And but the part of Guatemala that the part of Guatemala that Scott took us to is closer to the border of El Salvador, and that's not where the Maya people live. And it is, people, taller people that don't dress in the indigenous clothes. There's one of the first guys I met that turned out to be like the best trained, one of the most literate people that lives in Guatemala, the little town that we went to. Thank you, Martha. Was wearing a t-shirt that said something like, something about a drill team in Kingwood, Texas. Clearly it was a hand-me-down and not something he bought or acquired for sentimental reasons. Anyhow, these people live in like abject poverty is what they say, but I mean, it's like they're on an eternal camp out. They live in these little houses that are made from scrap lumber. Like if you took a tree and made it into lumber, they would shave off the edges that are kind of curved on one side and flat on another, and they have those kind of pieced together, just the scraps, and a little dirt floor and a little hammock hanging in there, no windows, no door, just an opening, and no running water. Just think about that. They don't take a shower. Don't ask me how they get clean, because they're not dirty people, but I mean, I've eaten meals with them where someone walks around with like a little pitcher, a little plastic pitcher, and they pour a little tiny bit of water on your hands and you do this. Good enough. And it has to be, because that's what you get. And, to cook and to wash and to do those things. There's a spring about a mile and a half uphill from the mountain, from this village, which sits on an incline, very steep. With the houses sort of one above another. So no running water, no electricity, no paved roads, no nothing really, no stores. It's to get to the nearest town, Chiquimulia, is a 5-hour walk. Yeah, you have to want to go. Anyway, is it working? Not so much. There we go. This is the man with the blue shirt is Scott Robertson, and Scott is my pseudo cousin that got me hooked into this. And when he was 50 years old, he decided he needed a senior project, and his church in Lubbock, a Methodist church, was supporting an orphanage right outside of Guatemala City, and he went and served on the board there, but he decided that this was not a project that was hard enough for him. He wanted something more challenging, and he went to the Guatemalan ministries and was asking around, and somebody says, well, we got this letter and there's nothing we can do for these people. And he just sort of handed it off to Scott, and the letter said, we are Guatemalan citizens and we're asking for help. We have nothing, and we pay taxes, and we need education, we need roads, we need electricity. And the man that wrote the letter is the other one on standing there with Scott, Octaviano Santos, and he turned out to be the governor or the mayor of Guayavales, which is this little village. About 30 families, I think, live there. Anyhow, so Scott arranged, this is before I got in on this, that Scott arranged for a translator and a four-wheel drive pickup truck, and he went up the mountain. When he drove into Guayavales, and there's this mango tree that's sort of the downtown, and you know, when he stepped out of the truck, the whole village had turned out because like somebody was coming, you know, and they thought he was an angel, an answer to a prayer. Yeah. And so Scott promised them 20 years. And so he's 15 years into it. We're 15 years into it. I didn't get in on that first year, but I came in probably about 8 or 9 years ago. Anyhow, next slide. This is just to give you an idea of kind of what the landscape looks like. It's mountainous. There's volcanic mountains, and then, you know, far off down the hill on a clear day, you can make out the coast from Guayavales. And the next slide. This is a good stretch of the road, like not meaning a lot of the road, but this is a stretch where the road is pretty good. I'm not exaggerating. And when it's wet, y'all, okay, it wasn't wet, but that's okay. Mark, you can advance. This is the truck I was driving had a flat. It happens. You're always going to have a flat. I mean, not every day, but every week, one of the vehicles will have a flat. And so here we are. Fortunately, we were in a convoy and someone helped me change the tire. But that's what it was. These are our buddies, both of the, if you can make out the guy whose hands you can see, that's Ross Newstead that used to live in Kerrville. Now he's in Dallas. And the guy on the right is Mitch Mitchell, that's a Mason that lives here in Kerrville. Okay, next slide. That's just to give you an idea. So 2 years ago, okay, sorry, let's back it up. Scott is a real good listener, and he asked the people, and he met with the village elders. Then he wanted to meet with the women. Then he wanted to meet with the youth. You know, so he's very sensitive to the pecking order and how some people aren't going to express their dreams and wishes in front of others. And so he does a lot of listening, asks a lot of questions, and he's a very patient listener. He's a psychologist by training. And what they want is they want a healthier living environment, including access to medicine and, you know, health care givers, and they want to educate themselves out of poverty. They want a good education for their kids. And so, and then they have 10,000 other wishes, as you might imagine, like, could we get like a better roof on our school? They have a little government school, and it's a cinder block building. And right across from it is a little church that's also made of cinder block that belongs to the Catholic Church there. The priest does come up the mountain about 3 or 4 times a year. Other than that, they call on Octaviano that wears the Kingwood dance team t-shirt. That's Gregorio is his name. He is the deacon that reads the scripture and leads the service and offers mass, communion rather. Anyway, one of the things that we wanted to do, Scott procured funding to drill a well. They couldn't get a well truck that would, you know, a drilling truck up to the site. And so I said, why don't we put in water catchment? And so we did. We put a new roof on the school. Yay, lots of help. I mean, what we do is get the sheet, whatever you call it, the roofing material, and carry it up the hill, the sheet metal, carry it up the hill and then bounce the back of the truck, bouncing. And then they offload it, and the boys and the men are all up on the roof, putting the roof on. Not straight, because you can't supervise as fast as they work. I'm just saying, but it doesn't leak. It doesn't leak. And then we cut big PVC in half and made gutters and put the gutters up, and we got these big water catchment tanks. And so the church has 2 tanks and the school has 3 big water catchment tanks, as big around as one of these tables. I forget how many thousand gallons, 5,000, 3,000, somebody smarter than I. anyway, then I always felt bad because the water wasn't purified. It was just coming off the roof and into the tank. So they had access to water, but they would still have to boil it to make it sanitary. And a lot of times they don't want to take the time or the firewood to make that happen. And so we went back this project in 2020. Yeah, right before the pandemic. 2020, January, we went down with Barry Wall, who has Texas Rainwater Systems out in Ingram, and Ross Newstead, Mitch Mitchell, Mary Ellen Summerlin, and I from our church, plus a large group from the Lubbock contingent, plus our nurse from nurse practitioner, we call her La Doctora, the doctor from Colorado, and a few other people. We went down and installed solar panels on Mitch Mitchell and a guy named Solomon that is works beside Mitch, that's actually native Guatemalan. Also went with Gary Crozier, and they built a small shed to house the batteries and put the solar panels on top and the batteries inside, and to also house the water purification system. And while they were building this little building, which you're looking at there, that was actually this past January, where they're like inspecting the solar panel and we're inspecting the system, make sure that it's working well. They were teaching the local men how to do the construction so that they could also hire on to do some construction jobs. Anyhow, so we put in the solar panel to power the water purification system. So they have a little bit of pure water, good water, and a little bit of electricity, at least at the church and school. Okay, next slide. Then, okay, fast forward to, we couldn't go back because of COVID, but then 2022, and Kristy Vandenberg and La Doctora and I shared a room, and the rest of the folks that came were men. And, and we built this habitat home. Next slide. When we got there, this is what it looked like. The building on the right is the school. Had to look twice. They repaint it every year a different color. So it's like, oh, now it's yellow. Oh, now it's blue. But you can see the 3 water catchment tanks, and you can kind of see that PVC that carries the water to the tanks. But right next to the school is where we're putting the habitat home for the teachers. There's 2. And Habitat Guatemala has been a dream to work with. They're very cooperative and very excited, and they hired the professional builders that were going to oversee the project, the building project of the school. We received donations through the First Presbyterian Church, Kerrville, and then also through your club and individual donors. I know I got some donations from the Morning Rotary Club members too, and other people that just knew about what we were doing. And this project cost about $12,000 to build the home. It's 2 bedrooms with a bathroom and its own solar panel and electric lights. And I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of that here. But when we first got there, we were under the impression that the foundation would be laid and that we would just be doing like the walls, putting up the walls and so forth. But this is what we got. And so all this had been scratched out by hand by the villagers of Guayabales. Okay, next slide. We did a lot of this. We spent like 3 days just digging, like deepening ditches and kind of leveling where the walls would be. Our esteemed Kristy Vandenberg is as good with a shovel and a pick as anyone in this room. Yes, and I mean and it wasn't just us. It was the people that lived there, including the kids. And next slide. There's one of the kids with a shovel, and there was a little girl that was right in there with us every single minute we were there. She was also, swinging a shovel or an axe or something, whatever we'd let her have. We took turns because it was hot and it was hard work. My son went, wow, look at that dirt. It's a hill country person's dream, but I'm like, it was well packed. Trust me, it was very well packed. Okay, next slide. So then the next thing, while we were digging, the professional builders were putting together the rebar and that they were going to use to hold up the walls and to I guess, secure the flooring on that. Look how deep the ditches are, y'all. They had to be like certain width. They had to be straight on the sides. I mean, we did this, the American way. On the top of that thing is Mitch Mitchell and Ross Newstead, and then this guy with the yellow shirt is from Nashville, and he is a friend of Ross Newstead's that wanted to come with us, and he carried his weight. He's about 6'6". So, when it's up to his knees, you know how deep those holes were. All right, next. Okay, and then they stood the rebar, whatever those supports were, y'all, I'm not technical. But the professional builders stood those things in there, and we had to hand mix concrete and carry it over so that they could pour it in the holes. Next slide. Here we are mixing concrete and carrying it in 5-gallon buckets over to, across the way to, yeah, it's work, y'all. They don't do stuff the way you do it around here. It takes a lot of people, and everybody that's standing around watching, they're like, okay, is it my turn already? And the guy with the bucket hoisted on his shoulder is Ross Newstead. He'll be a CPA in about 6 months. Okay. And then you can see kind of how the building is starting to take shape, and that's about as far as we got in the week that we were there. Next slide. Oh, is there one before that? Rats. I wish you could see, I did try to embed a little video, because they were sending, my friends in Guatemala were sending videos of the progress. They didn't send photos, but the holes that they dug to put in this is a biodigester that was put in the proper septic tank that was built for the school. It was probably 10 feet deep, and perfectly round, beautiful hole. There are 2 of them, but this is the photo of the biodigester that they put in there. Okay, next slide. That's also a video. Can you make it play? No. Okay, that's another video. Wait, is it gonna do it? No. Sorry about that. It is a photo of the bathroom. Yes, the bathroom that the building, the teacher's house, has 2 bedrooms and kind of a little living area in between, and then off to kind of behind it is an attached bathroom, but you have to go out the back door to get to the bathroom and back. But it never gets cold, it just rains a lot. But the bathroom, I just love this. It has a porcelain toilet and a porcelain sink and a beautiful shower. Please bear in mind, they have no running water, but it looks good. We have aspirations. Okay, the next picture. That was another picture that sort of showed how the house was coming along. That was about mid-March, so it was about 2 months after we left. And one more picture of the house. And this is also a video which showed, like, you can see that the house was painted white, but what you can't see, the video kind of shows a span of it, the cement porch and the windows with the bars over them, no glass, right? That's what they do, just little burglar bars and the little solar panel with the light above the porch. It's so cool, because I really think, it's definitely beyond a shadow of a doubt the nicest accommodations in Guatemala. It's cinder block, has a real floor, concrete, the whole deal, and like porcelain fixtures and lights, and nobody else has that. We hope that because it's the nicest house in the village, that this is becomes prestigious for the teachers to be there, because the teachers don't live there. They live in a couple of villages over, and they come on a motorcycle that they share. They're not related to each other. They just happen to be working together, co-workers. So they bounce over on this motorcycle, but if the road is wet, and y'all can imagine, remember that the mud is slick, and it is treacherous. I've been caught in a rain shower on my way down the mountain, and we were singing hymns. I'm just gonna tell you, we were singing hymns. And if one tire hadn't, we started to slide, and if our rear right tire hadn't gotten caught in the little ditch on the right-hand side, we might have gone down the other side. Wouldn't have been pretty. Okay, so in the meantime, we had a little bit of downtime, like while the concrete was drying and that kind of stuff. And so we walked over to the little shed that we built last year, and we wanted to paint it. And Octaviano, the mayor, says, after you plaster it, right? Wait, what? You're going to paint it after you plaster it? Oh, yes, of course. Yes. So we plastered the building. So we had to wet the walls and scrub them with a wire brush before we put the plaster on. Next picture. And there's Mitch Mitchell doing the plaster. He taught us how to do it, but nobody did it quite as well as Mitch, who's a professional. In the next slide, then we painted it. We painted it with just a base coat because they were about to repaint the church because the priest was going to be coming for Easter. And so they wanted to make the building and the church match. So they were just going to paint them all at once when they decided on their color of the year. Okay, so there's our building, the one that we built that has the solar panel and the purification system inside. Okay, next. Okay, so we think that is a big step, like getting clean water and putting a place in Guayabales for the teachers to stay so that they can be present at the school more often than they're absent, which has been the case up until now. Okay, next. So the other thing that the villagers crave is healthcare, and we're working now to set up telehealth. We've been working on it, but without electricity, that's a challenge, but you can do laptops. And surprisingly to me, everybody in I'm really belaboring this. I need to speed it up. Anyway, all these women and their kids are queued up to visit with La Doctora. Next slide. There is Dara Gott sitting at the table, and then the woman she's talking to is on the left with the red shirt, and this other lady in the foreground is a translator. Next. Oh, here is Kristy Vandenberg and our translator, but they're presenting. This is Gregorio, and he's the one that I was telling you is the deacon and the a Eucharistic minister, I think is the correct term, and the EMT, which is not an official thing, but the most highly trained medical guy in the village, and they're presenting him with a medic kit with lots of tools and medicines. And oh, can you go back one? Maybe. I just notice all those crates in the background. Every time we go, we take a dozen or so crates full of stuff, and sometimes they have garden seed. That's tricky. They don't always let you through customs with that stuff. But medicine and vitamins, prenatal vitamins, children's vitamins, and things like that. Other tools, we got them a corn grinder, a treadle sewing machine, a gas-powered tiller for their garden. Okay, carry on. So we bring a whole bunch of stuff, and we pay tons in extra baggage. This is Dave Bender. He belongs to the Lubbock Rotary Club, and he's he knows all about gardens. He's a PhD in plants. He's an Aggie. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Anyway, and this is a community garden, not in Guayabales, but nearby. And Dave has consulted with them and shown them how to plant and tend their gardens. Next slide. This is the little nursery that they have going. So they're doing everything right. It's very successful. They grow a lot of cucumbers, squash, peppers, chard, and other things like green things, not lettuce. Okay, next slide. In addition, our little effort is funding an organization called La Aula Mágica, which is the magic classroom, and it's similar to a Head Start type of program, so that these little pre-K kiddos come down to the school and they meet with a high school graduate from the village who's been trained, and she teaches them about numbers and matching and it's all that sort of pre-literate stuff, because a lot of times the kids that come to elementary school 1st through 6th grade is free in Guatemala, but they just don't even have the basis to know any of that to start reading in 1st grade. So that's more of the Aula Mágica. Next. Is that it? Oh. Oh, okay. And our big goal, one of our big future goals besides the telemedicine, we've been donated some land in a central, we actually do work with 23 villages, but Guayavalis is kind of our touch point there. In one of the villages, the land has been donated and it is a central village and the bus goes there. If they have electricity and they have running water and they have a road at least to that town, Chanlapa it's called. And this land was donated to us from, let me use the thing, from about this tree over and down. To the left, you can see, well, you can't. To the left is a schoolyard, and then in the background is the soccer field. But everything this side of the soccer field and kind of downhill from the school is the land that's been donated to us for the purpose of building a technical vocational high school in our dreams. But we're working, I mean, it's a dream, it's not a dream, it's a goal. And while we were there, this is Chanlapa, not Guayavalis. While we were there, we found out that the priest was up at the church giving mass. And some little kid ran up to the church to fetch the priest and bring him down and bless our land. And he blessed our land and our efforts and the people that were working toward it and all the people of the village. It was really sweet. And he sprinkled water on all of us. Okay, next. Okay, so that's a future project. And the next, oh, these are additional things that we were hoping to build a real, an improved bathroom for the school. This is the present bathroom. It's, believe this or not, Kristy, what do they say when you walk in the one on the right?
I was in the men's room.
That was the men's room. The ladies' room.
I didn't know there wasn't.
I didn't know either. I've been there for years. But I don't go to that one. The one on the left is the ladies' room. They look the same. They're not nice. And so we want to build a better bathroom for the school kids. And this photo was taken down off the internet, but it's taken from the internet. It is to demonstrate, I mean, this is the type of cooking that the people do in their little houses. It's wood smoke and they don't have chimneys or vents. And so the women are always breathing this heavy smoke, and lung cancer is like the second leading cause of death in Guatemala. Next. And the women have specifically asked to learn how to cook more healthful meals for their family, and they want to learn how to bake. And one of the obstacles to learning how to bake is nobody has an oven. In a nearby village, this is an oven that we found that is in use, and it was clearly handmade, out of chicken wire and mud. Next one. This is the oven we're aspiring to build. This oven and some like it that could be used. We want to build a community oven because anytime anybody has a birthday, those women walk the 5 hours to buy a cake in Chiquimulia and bring it back to their whoever's having the birthday. Okay, next slide. Oh, this is again a picture of the water purification system that we have installed, and all the autographs of the people that helped us do it and they got trained in how to operate it. Next. And that's the last slide. These are just some of the village kiddos that we're hoping to bring into an educated adulthood so they can get out of poverty. So that's all I got. Any questions? There's a whole lot to this. There's 10,000 other things we've done, we've
Going back.
Sorry.
We're
Going back. Kristy and I have bought our airfare for next January. Yes, ma'am. There's about 30 families. I would say that probably is 100 people. No. Supposedly there's a person that comes, once in a while that rotates around, but it's really never enough. One of the big problems is childbirth. Yeah, there are a couple of midwives. There's Gregorio that you saw, that's the Eucharistic minister. He's like helps in births, and there's another midwife that lives, a 5-hour walk away, but You know, if a woman has trouble in labor and they have to get her down the mountain, then they make kind of a, what do you call it? A cot, and they just carry her on their shoulders down the mountain to the nearest clinic. And, you know, some of them don't survive. Yes, Bill. I'm very curious about this. The photo was sent to me. I was really surprised to see the porcelain toilet, and I'm like, how does that work exactly? I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. Can I tell you next year?
I can tell you how.
Okay.
The page is the same way that is what the mother. But you don't need running water to flush the toilet.
No.
So that's easily taken care of, right, Carl? Yeah, it's easy.
Okay, so you can flush a toilet without running water. So that's probably what they do, is a bucket of water and do it that way.
Water, pour it in there, and smack the hand, and you're done.
We all did that last, whenever we had that snowvid thing, right?
If anyone knows a lot about composting toilets, we're gathering that information because I don't want to go in those toilets anymore.
Once is enough.
Well, 4 or 5 times was enough. But we're looking at in this area where they're putting in the community ovens, they want to put in some community grills too, so that they can grill food in there. There is, yeah, I speak loud.
No, the people online.
Oh, the people online. The day we were talking about leaving, we were talking about what to try and focus on this trip. So one of those things is to build better toilets, which I'm all in favor of. I felt like I was sitting on a chimney to go to the bathroom. So I didn't really enjoy it very much. And I was in the wrong restroom, who knew? And the second part is this part with a couple of big ovens so they can bake, along with like a community grill that there have ventilation so that the smoke goes up into the air. So if they're doing a party for the community, they could lay out a bunch of, I don't know, you didn't have any pictures of the chickens. I really thought the chickens were beautiful, and it took a lot of pictures of those, and the cows with the long ears. And it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. And the thing I remember the most, I laughed because I was worried I didn't bring enough clothes because I was dirty at the end of each day. And I hate to say this, but I put some of those back on another day. That's just what I had at the time. I remember the smiles. That's what I remember, the faces of the kids. I rounded up a bunch of kids to try and pick up trash. They thought I was kind of crazy because they don't really pick up trash too much in this country, but I thought it was so beautiful. I thought, why do we have trash here? And we had a break, and so I started rounding up the kids. I know the thing I'm gonna bring back when I go this time, I'm gonna bring back toothbrushes and toothpaste. Sounds like such a little thing for us, right? Such a little thing, but such a huge thing for the people. And I think I believe in dental health makes your whole body healthy. So that's what I'm starting to collect now. I go to the dollar store, I go other places and pick up. I told Jane I get 2 suitcases. One of them's going to be full of toothpaste and toothbrushes, and they're going to wonder what I'm doing. But it's okay. I sat on a chimney to go to the bathroom, so it's all right. I did. And she guarded the door. It was so nice because there's no latches on the door. Yeah.
Jerry Crozier was there. Did he get to provide some dental services for him?
He did not. He was there in the role of carpenter. Yeah, when we were building the solar shed, he was instrumental in that, but we didn't do that. But we're trying to convince him to come back again with us and do dental clinic. Yes, sir. Yeah, what do they do? they eke it out. You know, they grow corn to consume, and then whatever's, if they have surplus, they'll sell it. They pick other people's coffee. There's a pineapple field, a big pineapple operation nearby, and they'll go down and plant and harvest pineapple. There's a lot, Gregorio told us there's a lot of injuries where people's machete goes off course, and, you know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, that's when his first aid gets called on. One of Octaviano's brothers went to a government-sponsored program and learned how to manage beehives and bees, and he sells honey. That's pretty special when you get in on the harvest of that, which I have had the fortune of doing a lot, so, yeah. Anyway, Octaviano grows mahogany trees, and they're very slow growth trees, 25-year minimum before harvest. And in 2020, he says, yeah, we're gonna cut a mahogany tree this year, and they get a lot of money from that, you know, once in a generation harvest of mahogany. And I asked him about that this time when we went back, and he said, no, I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to cut it, so I'm letting it grow. So that was a good sign. Are we done?
Okay. Sorry, things are coming at me from everywhere. Okay, so we have Paula Johansson is visiting Rotarian with us today, and I believe she has something she'd like to say.
Come on up here. We
Get
can't-
on up here.
Come on.
Come on, Paula.
Say.
Yeah, nobody escapes the mic.
Okay, I have to read this. I just wanted to take a minute.
You up to the mic.
Okay, I just wanted to take a minute to express my appreciation for Kerrville Rotary. You let me be a visiting Rotarian for 6 whole months. You've been welcoming and very Rotarian friendly. And I appreciate your frequent offer of a transfer of membership form. I had thought we would be back in November, but we've accepted an offer to be camp hosts at Kartchner Cavern State Park in Arizona. We've done that before, and it's just amazingly fun. And I just turned 78, and I got to keep doing these things while I still can. So we're going to do that this next winter. So it's just south of Tucson. It's about 4,000 feet, so it's pretty nice weather for Arizona, but the winters are great there. And we've camp hosted there before, and we look forward to being the welcome wagon for the camp, which is really fun. Caverns are amazing. If you're ever in that area, please go because they're wonderful. But I wanted to thank you so much. Kerrville Rotary is just a great club, and I've enjoyed meeting all of you so much.
Well, that's hard to follow. Carolina, do you have a guest? Okay, great. Well, we were happy to have Stephen while he was here. Okay. Does anybody know families in Rotary? Do we have any updates or anything there? I haven't seen Stephanie Miller. I don't know. We have a request to keep Mark Distar in our prayers. He's having some health issues, so certainly please do that. And, you know, on any given day, most of us can use some kind of prayer, so keep those going too. Yes, Ashley, please come up.
Because I want everyone to hear, even those online. Would y'all like to come help with Josh the Otter, please? I've done like 3 schools, and while it's so much fun, I kind of need to work my job. So if anyone is interested in helping with Josh the Otter, we've just got a few more schools left to do, and it's such an amazing program and it's so much fun, and I promise we'll help you. If you've never done it, it's fine. You can literally just stand there and not say anything, smile, and just pass out books, pass out coloring books, pick the books back up, pass out the little stuffy, hand out crayons and stickers, okay? That's truly all you gotta do, but we really need at least 3 or 4 people at each presentation. So what are you doing this Friday at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m.? Do you have time to go to Tally Elementary School with us and do this? Come on, please, 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 please reach out to Mr. Rittenhouse. The Mr. Josh the Otter man. Okay, we should all be supporting this. Just because we're on the committee and we head it up and we work it and coordinate the schools doesn't mean that it needs to be the same people at every single appointment. Help, please. And Monday, Hunt School, what time? Kristy, don't you know? 9 a.m., all of them at once? Because it's not that big, right? Yeah. Okay, so at 9:30 and 10:30, if you want to help set up, get there about 15-20 minutes early. Dave, is there any other schools coming up?
Yes.
Okay, what other times?
We have third off, actually, I'm looking at, but I think it's covered, is that correct, George? Yeah.
Awesome. It's like a 20-30 minute presentation. You're only there for 20-30 minutes. You got to get there about 20 minutes early to set up. It's about a 20-30 minute presentation and then you're gone. Yay, thank you, Amber. And it's just nice to have different faces and people representing. So reach out and help. We're almost done. That's why I was, yeah, Stockton, when is yours?
May 23rd, 2 Mondays.
2 Mondays away at what time? Okay. Okay, so if you're available Monday, 10 a.m. and 1 as well. That must be their schedule, the elementary schedule. So Monday, the 23rd, call Stockton.
You're gonna send an email, aren't you?
I think we have sent emails. Answer your emails. Thank you, bye.
Thanks, Ashley. You know, the Josh the Otter program, I think, is probably one of the most impactful things that we as a club do. There's no one else in town that I know of that's doing water safety for that age of children. And if it prevents even one child from drowning or potentially drowning, I think that's something that we can all be very proud of and be supportive of. So please, if you're able, I know Carolina has asked me about some dates in May, and now that we're through graduation on campus, I think I can probably be at some of them. But certainly, the more people we have doing this, the better, and the more children that we can reach and potentially do some life-saving simple training, be great. So I don't have any wine to give away. There's no whining. So if anybody have anything else before we close, get your tickets for the foundation. It counts for Paul Harris if you buy $100 worth. And I think we're going to call it. See Jeff. Somewhere in there is a 4-way test and, you know, all that good fun stuff. So of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? All through